Hello, Wait. Introduce us.
Hello, he's EnterElysium, and this is Elite Dangerous.
So yeah, I've been wanting to do a video on Elite Dangerous for a while. It's in beta 2 right now, and yeah, it's possibly the best UI UX I've ever experienced. Now that means user interface and user experience. So I really want to talk about basically how amazing this is. Particularly the inputs and the whole sort of peripherals I've got set up work really well with this. So I'm actually using a fairly cheap setup. For a start, I'm using head tracking, so if I turn my head to the side, and to the other side, and if someone's above me and I'm like, oh, where are they? I can go like this. Which is really, really good, and it frees me up from having to do, fiddling with buttons over here, and I can also sort of thrust forwards, etc., while I'm looking over here. Really, really helpful. But that's just where it starts. And that is completely free, by the way. I'm using a webcam that I've got, and I'm using Face Track No IR. It's not perfect. It's not great, particularly with cheaper webcams, but it's completely free. Face Track No IR. And basically, by using my webcam, which is a Logitech C920, which is a fairly good high-definition webcam, I get this really good head tracking. And, of course, I had the webcam already, so that was nothing for me to really spend. Now, if you're going for something more complicated, you can get, Track IR or something, where you need some special hardware to track your head. But for a free system, this works pretty well. Now, it is occasionally a bit janky, but I think it's really, really good. Secondly, I have these two inputs. Now, I'm going to go over them in a bit more detail, and we'll just get a job, and we'll do this job, and I'll talk about them en route. So, let's have a quick look at Starport Services. So, we'll have a look for bulletin board. No, I'm not going to be able to do that. That's going to be move stuff. Yeah, I need to find reactive armor, etc. Actually, for that much money, if they have reactive armor around here, let's look at the commodities market. Do they have reactive armor? Reactive armor. No. They've got demand, but they've got no supply. Yeah, okay. So let's just get a quick, easy transport job of some kind. Nope. That needs stuff. I just want a courier one, so... Did I just click the same one again? What about this? That's distant. I can't really get to that one. Can't get to that one. Can't get to that one. No, that's stuff. That stuff again. Okay, I'm beginning to feel this possibly isn't one that's going to work for us. Yeah. I think we'll just launch and we'll go to a different station in the same sector and we'll get a job there or something. So, if we just exit. I'm using Voice Attack. Now, Voice Attack allows you to put voice commands into games, and it works fairly well with Elite Dangerous. So, if I do... Where are we? We are currently inside, so I believe that will be launch from inside.
Launch procedures in process for you, sir.
Now, we'll see if this works. I only just set this one up this morning. This might end up crashing us into a wall. It did that to me earlier, and I kind of ended up going into the negatives on money. That wasn't so great. Now, this launch procedure does take a little while, so it's got quite a delay on a lot of the actions. But hopefully I should have timed them right. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Right, so let's get us out of here. Now, as you can see, I have a joystick on my right hand, and I have a Nostromo on my left hand. Now, the Nostromo is a gamepad. It's, I'll completely be honest, I'm going to sing its praises. I really do love the Nostromo. I use it for all my gaming, pretty much, or at least anything that I can actually theoretically use it for. Let's just look to the side, and... That's the one we just exited, so I'll pick that one because it's nearby. But yeah, I use the Nostromo for pretty much all my flying these days. It's absolutely brilliant. Basically, it's very comfy. Let's just get past this ring. And has a lot of buttons, basically within easy reach of your fingers. I don't like keyboards so much. I'm not particularly great for keyboards because I get really lost on them sometimes, and I end up having to look down at them. Whereas the Nostromo keeps your hand in one place and offers keys easily available. It also has, you know, a few different keys on your thumb as well. I use it pretty much anything now. It doesn't have enough keys to really cover all the functions in Elite, and I actually put a couple of them onto the main keyboard. However, I don't need to use it anymore because voice attack has these commands. So if I want to say, engines full.
Diverting power to engines. May I also suggest losing a bit of weight, sir?
There we go. Now if we engage, what's it called? Engage frame shift drive. Engage frame shift drive.
Engaging frame shift
Sometimes
drive.
it can take a second go with the voice recognition, but
3, 2, 1, engage.
and the combination of being able to track my head, having both hands on stuff where I don't need to move my hands, like literally my hands stay glued to the control. I don't need to run across a keyboard. I don't need the mouse. I really do dislike flying the mouse in Elite. I had the mouse enabled for like all of a minute before I decided, nope, I'm not going to do that. And being able to actually use voice commands in addition to head tracking really gives you a lot of nice input. And incidentally, I've also set voice attack up so that I can say, music, something bombastic. Music, something bombastic.
Certainly, sir.
There we go. Ah, good times. Now, by the way, if you're wondering how I'm doing this with voice attack, basically I've set up a load of stuff that says, you know, when I say this, press this key, and say this audio file. And I've recorded a load of audio files, and that's basically, I've got this English butler AI that sounds very much like me, because it is me. But how it's playing the music is it's basically playing a file. In this case, it would be a playlist file, actually. And it's opening that in Winamp. So actually, it has very little to do. Ooh, let's move slightly away from the sun. Oh god, we're going to overshoot. I'm talking to you too much. Let's bring her around. But yes, it's playing a playlist file through Winamp, and in this case, actually doesn't interact at all with the game. What it's doing is taking my voice input, and it's saying a file, and it's opening another program. In this case, it's being Winamp for me. I mean, you could do it with pretty much anything that plays a playlist. Let's just see if we can get this right. I'm going a bit too fast. I think we've got this. Now, the head tracking is a little bit bumpy at the moment. It doesn't normally act this bumpy for me. I'm not sure what's quite got into it. I may need to check the settings. But it's definitely acting a little bit more janky at the moment than it normally is. You can see it's bouncing up and down. If I just press home, by the way, I can reset my head to the center. Music, stop. And by the way to do that is play a playlist with nothing in it. It basically overrides the playlist that is currently playing. You can't actually issue voice commands for an actual piece of software that's not voice attack, but you can issue it voice commands to, you know, play stuff. And if you play nothing, you've got your problem sorted there. Let's see if we can drop out here. There we go. Let me just get within 7.5 kilometers and I can give it the... There we go.
Request granted.
Okay, docking pad 1. That looks like it's there. Alright, so the way I've got my joystick set up is, you see these buttons down here? I have absolutely no use for these. These mean I need to take my hand off of the joystick, or I need to use my other hand, which is on the Nostromo. These are basically pointless to me. The point being that using the Nostromo and the joystick means I don't need to use these buttons. Now, the joystick is a Logitech Extreme 3D Pro. It is possibly the cheapest reasonable joystick that you could actually get. Now, I say cheapest. If you're in America, or, you know, the continental America, you probably will be able to get it fairly cheap. However, I found that in Europe, deploy landing gear. Deploy landing gear.
Deploying the landing gear for you, sir.
It doesn't work so well with commentary. I found that if you're outside of America, they tend to be expensive. I don't know why. I think it's because maybe all joysticks are suddenly manufactured in the US. I had to get mine imported. It was cheaper than actually buying one in Europe. But it's a cheap and cheerful joystick. It cost me 40 quid. It's probably a lot cheaper than that. It might even be like $30 if you're in the US. And it does everything fine. There is nothing it does wrong. there is no complaints about it. It is just, you know, it's bog standard and it does everything you want to do. Now, it does have a throttle down here, but then again, that means moving my hand away from the joystick. So I've just got throttle over here on the Nostromo. As you can see, the Nostromo has enough buttons to be able to cover the basic functions. So let's have a quick look at Starport Services. And a bulletin board. Oh, we want something incredibly cheap because it's the only things that we can really do. Right, here we go. Nope, that's bio-waste. I need to go get bio-waste. Here we go. We need to deliver this to Oliver's settlement. That's a fairly reasonable price for such a boring job. We'll accept that. That was BD47, so accept that. And exit. And now I'm not sure exactly which command I'm meant to be using from here. We are technically landed, but I don't know if it's quick launch I need or whether it's going to be the other launch. I'm going to try launch from inside.
Launch procedures in process for you, sir.
That was the wrong one. I should have used launch from outside. Launch from inside has a much longer delay, so
Engines engaged.
there we go. I'm going to cancel it by using music stop, because that will override the current playing function. Now, the functions in voice attack, if they've got a delay on them, still get overridden if you start a new one. So we need to have a quick look at where BD47 is. Whoops. This is the problem with the head tracking. It's very difficult when you're to the side to actually get to be steady sometimes. And hopefully, sometime soon, we'll be able to do this jump. Now, I wonder where our mission was to go to again exactly. Oliver's settlement. Okay. Engage frame shift drive.
Engaging frame shift drive. Please hold on to something, sir.
So, the way I've got that doing is simply a voice attack is playing a file and then pressing a key for me, and it's as simple as that. Honestly, all this stuff is really simple to set up, but it gives me, honestly, some of the best experience that I've ever had for inputs into a game. I mean, the ability for the keys to be rewindable, and then, you know, Elite going far enough to be able to do all these complicated things, really gives you a great experience, and it's something that I'm incredibly grateful for. It makes a game that I've currently, you know, not really got that far into incredibly enjoyable for something that really I haven't been doing that much in, other than wandering around so far. Now, voice attack, the promo I'm using for my voiceover is, I think it's $8, but it has a free 21-day demo with a limited number of commands. Really good, definitely recommend it for $8. And the joystick, as I said, is, you know, 40 quid when I got it, but, you know, probably cheaper. The Nostromo, when new, was 40 quid. That was 2 years ago. That's a Razer Nostromo. If anyone's interested, no, I'm not sponsored by them. I know Razer do a lot of sponsorships, though. If they want to send me one of the new, I think it's the Orbweaver? Yeah. The Nostromo is now like the entry tier, or it's getting phased out. I can't remember which. But they've got this new one called the Orbweaver, which is a little bit more expensive. And it looks a little bit flashier. It's a bit more angular, and I'm not convinced about that. I'm not sure if the angular nature of the thumb pad would be quite as comfortable as the Nostromo, personally. But then again, I haven't tried it. So the Orbweaver or something like that, or, you know, whatever gamepad you wish to use, it'd probably work equally as well. But the great thing is I can actually use docking by, you know, the joystick controls basically my pitch, my yaw, my roll, and I've got my lateral controls here on my Nostromo. And if we have a look down in front of me, you can see we've got a very Nostromo-looking thing next to my left hand, and a joystick in my right hand. Which seems pretty actually similar to the current setup I've got, which it makes me pretty happy. I'm apparently doing the right thing. Now, let's just get a little bit closer to Oliver's settlement. We're nearly in range, I think. There we go, safe disengage. And we can, of course, play other pieces of music. So, for instance, I could say music, Miracle of Sound, My Iron Skin. Music, Miracle of Sound, My Iron Skin.
Certainly, sir.
Now, I will just point out that the reason it's actually having trouble is because it's taking my entire sentence, my entire commentary, and trying to use that. Which doesn't really work. There we go, let's just turn the volume up a little bit. Because my entire commentary isn't actually relevant to the voiceover. The voiceover only needs to recognize certain parts, and it will recognize entire sentences. So if I run a sentence together, it won't recognize it. If I leave a pause though, music stop, it gets it a lot better. So, which side is the docking? It's obviously not this side. Let's go the other side. Whoopsie. Whoops, and...
Request granted.
Right, let's pull around. There we go. So all we gotta do is dock ourselves. So if I come in and then I say landing gear down. No, engage landing gear. Deploy landing gear. Deploy landing gear.
Deploying the landing gear for you, sir.
We now have a landing gear down. And we are going to
landing
have
gear,
one.
sir.
Oh, it took retract landing gear. Whoops. Deploy landing gear.
Deploying the landing gear for
Honestly,
you, sir.
voice tech works a lot better than I'm currently demonstrating it. It's because I've got my voiceover currently going at the same time. If I'd post voiceover this, you'd seen it a lot better. And if we just come in.
Docking successful.
Ta-da!
Engines disengaged.
And let's go to the bulletin board. And cash in our thing. Done. And that was really, really easy. So if we enter hangar, you can see that this setup I've got, which is voice attack, no face track, no IR, which just uses any webcam, is completely free. Voice attack being $8. A really cheap and cheerful joystick and a Nostromo. And honestly, I would recommend the Nostromo for pretty much anyone who enjoys gaming. I absolutely adore it. It's got reprogrammable keys. It's just honestly amazing. Thoroughly recommend that piece. Yeah. So the entire cost of my setup was about $8. I mean, assuming that I had, of course, a webcam, a joystick, and a Nostromo. But I would recommend Nostromo to pretty much anyone. The joystick is, of course, a pretty cheap and cheerful joystick. And if you play any sort of flight sims or whatever, you will have probably this good a joystick or better. No, the Logitech Extreme 3 Pro is pretty baseline in terms of joysticks, but it does everything it needs to do. I don't really need a 160-pound Thrustmaster, whatever they are. I don't see the point of spending that much money on a joystick unless you're like a super an aficionado of you just play like 2 flight sims and that's all you do. So I absolutely love it. This experience is brilliant. And I'm going to, of course, let my butler Jeeves do the outro. So, cue outro.
He's been EnterElysium, and this has been Elite Dangerous. If you've liked the video, please remember to like, and if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Stay shiny.
Catch you later, guys.